follow your dream. Don't let anybody discourage you. Don't let anybody steal your dream, and never give up. And if you have something, keep on keeping on. It's always take some action. Don't just think about something. If you're running into a roadblock, take some action to get around it, over it, under it, or through it somehow or other. But keep on moving forward and take some action with your creativity and keep at it. And eventually you will break through, and don't give up.
And now here is singer-songwriter, broadcaster, audio-video artist, entertainment agent, and your host. It's the master storyteller himself, James Kevin O'Connor.
Hey, it's springtime in the USA. Are we feeling it? Are we feeling it, brothers and sisters? Time to wake up and enjoy this weather. Hey, before we get rolling on today's show, don't forget to please forward this to a friend, this episode. There'll be something in here that somebody you know will find very valuable. And today we've got something really special. We've got a songwriter for you, and we are going to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and we're going to find out all about this wonderful song called Rachel's Song, which was written a while ago, but this man turned this into an entire traveling career because of the demand for this song. You better strap up your seatbelts because we're headed to Winston-Salem, North Carolina from the Music City to hang out and visit with Dave Combs. Yeah, well, listen, it's wonderful to have Dave Combs today on Podcasting Your Global Career. And I'm really happy that we were able to get together, Dave, and being a veteran of many projects and different things, both in Nashville and other places. I'm sure you've got an Amazon best-selling book out there, Touched by the Music. 15 albums of instrumental piano music that you created with Gary Prim as the arranger and performer. And, it seems like you've had a wonderful career going on here. And why don't you tell us about the story of performing Rachel's Song in front of 26,000 people in St. Louis? Can you take us back to that time?
I would be delighted to, and it always excites me to tell about it because it was probably a high water mark in my musical performance career anyway. I had written a song called Rachel's Song, and the story about that's all in the book and everything, but I had written that in 1981, named it for our godchild in 1983, got it recorded in Nashville as a demo in 1986 with Gary Prim, and then wrote some more songs and created an album with the self-titled Rachel's Song. And Rachel's Song got played on easy listening radio stations all over the country. And that was back when we used to have such a thing. I don't think we have anything called easy listening anymore.
Yeah.
They've morphed into something else. But back in this was 1989, I was sitting at my desk working for Western or AT&T at the time, and my music had been my side hustle. I was in the evenings and on weekends handling my music, and so my phone rang at the office, and on the other end of the line was this man that said he was the station manager, program director for KEZK radio in St. Louis, Missouri. And I thought, well, okay. And he says, I wanted to call and tell you some good news. He said, we run a contest every year with our listeners and have them tell us, of all the music we play on the station, which artists would you like for us to invite to come to St. Louis to do a concert? And so he said, well, we ran the contest. And he said, Dave, you're one of the 5 winners. I said, really? And he said, yeah, everybody here loves Rachel's Song. And so you're one of the 5. I said, well, who are the other 4? He said, well, you probably heard of them. There's George Benson, there's the Letterman, there's Don McLean, and the Association, and you. I thought, wow, I'm in really good company here. And so, yeah, he said, we're going to fly you and your wife out here to St. Louis if you'll be willing to come and perform. And we'll do a concert on a Saturday. It's a open air in a great big place called Booter Park. It's a outdoor venue. And he said, we're expecting over 25,000 people to show up. And we'll just have a great time on a Saturday and make some good music. I said, wow, this is amazing. So I went home, told my wife about that, and she got all excited too. And to make a long story short, they flew us out to St. Louis, and they put us up in a hotel, and we were in the same hotel with the Letterman. So that morning at breakfast, we go down to the breakfast room, and here's the Letterman sitting there at the table. So we introduced ourselves, and we got acquainted with the Letterman, and that friendship has lasted for the last 30 some years. We still keep in touch with the Letterman. They are a wonderful group. But so that I got to play on the stage. My segment was on first, and so I got up there and played Rachel's song and some more music, and I couldn't believe, the 26,000 people is a lot of people. When you look out in the audience, as far as the eye can see was people.
Yeah.
And they were all cheering and all that. And so it was really wonderful. And so I played Rachel's song, standing ovation, got a standing ovation. And when I finished my segment of the show, the Letterman came on and did their thing. And the radio station had set up a table down near the stage, an autograph table. And so I had my table for my music, and the table next to me was the Letterman. So after I played and after the Letterman played their part, I stood down there and signed autographs and had my picture made with my fans for 4 hours. And the Letterman had the same thing. It was a beautiful, bright, sunny day. I got the worst sunburn I'd had in a long time because I forgot to wear a hat and sunscreen. But I couldn't believe this. Thousands of people had come just to hear me play Rachel's song. What a humbling experience, let me tell you, to stand there and meet these wonderful people and see them, the smiles on their faces when I got to shake hands with them and so forth. But that was once in a lifetime, I think, kind of experience for me. This country boy from North Carolina and East Tennessee, to get to play for 26,000 people was something else.
I bet when you were writing this song, when you had the impetus to come up with this, you had no idea that this would be an eventuality, right?
Absolutely none whatsoever. I had no idea of what anything would happen with this song. It didn't even have a name when I wrote it, and it only got its name from playing at our godchild's christening and named it after our godchild Rachel. And then nothing happened to it for 2 or 3 more years till I got it recorded in Nashville as a demo by Gary Prim. And as you know from being in the music business, sometimes songs that you write and you're involved with can take on a life of their own. Once you've got it out there and turn it loose to the creative souls in the studio, it's like magic happens, and it's out of your control from that point.
Yeah, it's the more the merrier, I mean, that's been my experience on Music Row. As an author and a writer and a singer, I just tend to get out of the way. And just like observe and just don't speak until there's really something to speak about, because when you're blessed to play with those kind of players that have these catalogs emblazoned in their memories and their DNA, it's just like you just take advantage and just hang on for the ride, because you don't know what's going to happen.
That is exactly right. I remember, I've gone back to the studio since Rachel's song and recorded over 170 songs with Gary Prim. So
Wow.
We'd go about one week a year and do a whole album and just spend a whole week just rent the studio for the week and record an album. And like you said, that you go in there and all you start with is a piece of paper with some notes and chords written on the piece of paper, and you come out of there with an unbelievable recording.
Yeah.
It's just magic.
Right now, I want to just play the actual song that ties to this great story called Rachel's Song. Here's Dave Combs. Dave, that was fabulous, unbelievable, and I had played it like right before this interview started. I picked you up on YouTube and listened to it, and it's a really heartwarming, just really beautiful melody, and just it captures something really special, that song, and especially because you said you wrote it for your goddaughter. Was that correct?
Yes, we named
Yeah.
it for our goddaughter. Yes.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, beautiful song.
And James, the interesting thing to me is that when you compare Rachel's song with a lot of other music, it's a very simple song. As you can, being a musician, it's just a 4-chord song kind of thing. But it has a very simple melody, and I think one of the artistry of Gary Prim is his gift of taking and just adding just the right amount of strings or accompaniment to it, to not take away from the piano accompaniment or the piano piece. It's a real gift, I think, to keep music beautiful but simple. Sometimes we try to overcomplicate things and over-engineer and over-orchestrate. But Gary's gift is, I remember sometimes we'd be in the studio with a new song and he'd record, of course, the piano part first, and then we'd go back in the control room and listen to it. And I can't tell you how many times we'd all, Ronnie Light, my engineer, and Gary and myself and Linda would sit there and say, that song, that doesn't need anything. Does not need one additional thing. Piano solo, that's it. So we don't try to over-engineer and overcomplicate it. And the simplicity of the music and let it reach into your soul is the key to it, I think.
Yeah, don't you find, I heard, I guess it was, I think it was Sting was talking about this, when they were in the police were in the throes of their huge success. He started talking about their process in the studio, and they're a 3-piece band. Now, this was after the first 2 or 3 albums where they started experimenting, and he said, they would add and keep adding and keep adding, like all these different tracks. And then, of course, you call it out and you start taking out and taking out. And all of a sudden, most of what you put in ends up on the cutting room floor because you don't need it. But it was an exercise in, you may find that whiter shade of pale organ solo. You may find that one special thing that came out that you didn't expect. So you have to investigate and try everything. But usually I always say the song tells you what to do. The song knows everything,
That's well put.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about, now this led to your book, which you put out there. And what are you doing these days? Are you constantly creating new music, Dave? Are you performing like any streaming things? Like, what's your day look like these days?
Well, these days it's primarily getting on podcasts like this and telling people about my music. I have a catalog of over 170 songs and 15 albums and my book. And so I'm really in the mode of trying to publicize what I already have. At some point, if you're an artist cutting new records or whatever, I think you become your own competition after a while. Nobody's going to buy 15 albums, hardly, of this one artist. And some people do, of course. But after a while, you become your own competition. But my day has been spent in the last year and a half or so, basically getting on podcasts like this and talking about the stories behind the music. And I think that's the inspirational stories of how I wrote Rachel's song, how I took it to the market basically in a very unique way by selling it only through gift shops as opposed to the big box stores and that kind of thing. And those are primarily inspirational stories that apply to any entrepreneur of any kind of business. It doesn't matter whether it's music or whatever it is that you're trying to create. So I spend some time telling my stories to hopefully inspire people to find their own gifts. And hopefully along the way, they'll discover some of my music and include that in their playlists as well. But I'm really just kind of spreading the word around the world. And now that we're on podcasts, this can be viewed halfway around the world just as easily as next door.
All the way around the world.
All the way. Yeah, that's right.
We're even downloaded in Iceland and Vietnam, if you can believe it. So I have people that follow the show there. This idea of the gift shop is really cool, though. I mean, you found a niche market that, perhaps your audience is there. I mean, you never know where your audience is, but I think you're doing it right by the podcast being, it's kind of going mainstream now, the podcast, but a wonderful system to get to people. But the gift shops, how did you come up with that? Was that by accident, or you came up with that as a target market?
Well, like all budding musicians, songwriters, when you write something and get it recorded, of course you're enamored with it. You think it's the greatest thing you've ever heard, and and you're full of enthusiasm and trying to get it heard by as many people as possible. And initially, I thought, wow, these record stores. Back then, we had, I think it was Record Bar, and what was the other? There were some big box record stores around the country. That's where you went to buy your music. Back then, it was largely vinyl and CDs as well. So I approached some of those stores with my music because I had gotten great feedback from the radio I play. That was not a problem. I had heard from over 50,000 people on the radio I play about my music and how they loved it. So I thought, with that in my hip pocket, I'd walk into these big box places and they'll just be greeting me with open arms. Come on in, Dave. We've been waiting for you to come in here so we can sell your music. Well, I was in for a rude awakening that these big stores were not interested in my music. They never heard of me. I wasn't a big name. I wasn't on the touring circuit and on the TV all the time or whatever. So they were not interested at all. So I was very discouraged. I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew I wasn't going to give up because the fans were telling me they loved the music and they wanted it. So I said, I've got to figure out how I can get it to these people. Well, it just so happens that I was working at AT&T in Bethesda, Maryland, and the lady whose office was right next to mine had a friend who owned a gift shop in Old Town Alexandria. Now, if you've been to Washington, D.C., Old Town Alexandria, you know it's a big tourist area.
Yeah.
Well, the name of this shop that she had was called America. This shop sold anything red, white, and blue. It was all Americana. And she played over her sound system patriotic music, you know, John Philip Sousa and all the patriotic songs. Well, she had a wonderful sound system. And my friend said, I want to give my friend a copy of your CD of Rachel's song so that she could play it in her shop. I said, okay. So I gave her a CD. Didn't think much about it. A couple of days later, my phone rings and it's this lady on the other end says, hi, this is Jane. I'm the owner of America, the gift shop. And I've been playing your music, Rachel's song, and I've got a real problem. I said, what's that? She said, every time I play Rachel's song in my store, all the customers in there come over to the counter and say, what is that music you're playing? I want to take that home with me. And she says, I don't have any to sell. Can we solve this problem? I said, well, I think we certainly can do that. So we reached an agreement on the wholesale price. I'd never even sold any at wholesale before. I didn't know what even the differential was. So we reached an agreement on the wholesale price. And she says, can you bring me some tonight? I said, why, certainly. So Linda and I boxed up a box of cassette tapes at the time and CDs and took them down to Old Town Alexandria that night. Gave them to her. I thought, wow, this is going to be an interesting experiment. And so couple of days later, my phone rings again, and it was Jane. And she says, Dave, I got another problem. Those are all gone. I need some more. Can you double the order and bring them to me again tonight? So we did. We boxed them up that night, took them down there. And Linda and I made that trip to Old Town Alexandria every week for over a year. She sold thousands of tapes and CDs out of that one little gift shop. And now I have my MBA at Wake Forest University, so I'm a business person. I know how to do spreadsheets and profit and loss statements. And so I did a spreadsheet model of just that one gift shop. I created a little column that said how many tapes and CDs I had sold to her, how much they cost me, how much she paid me, and all that. Did the arithmetic, and down at the bottom was my gross profit for that one little gift shop. And it was a pretty interesting number. And so I thought, well, what if there were one gift shop like this in all 50 states? Just one. So make another column in your spreadsheet, column 1 times 50. Well, the bottom line number of that, now that's looking like an interesting number. I said, okay, Linda, I'm going to do one other thing here. Let's not get greedy, but let's say we had 5 gift shops in every state. Just 250 gift shops in the whole country. So column 3 is 250 times column 1. I said, Linda, come here. You got to see this number. Down at the bottom here, I said, this is 3 times what I'm making at AT&T. So you know what happened there? The light bulb went off, and I said, okay, you know what we got to do? We got to find these other 249 gift shops around the country. So we got busy, and lo and behold, we were able to find gift shops like hers all around the country, and ended up with over 1,000 gift shops all over the whole United States. And along that trip is when I was able to quit my job at AT&T in 1992 and do nothing but my music full time.
Fabulous. What a story. That is unbelievable. And that should be a lesson to all you music entrepreneurs out there. Find your audience and get creative like Dave. Dave, as we're wrapping up, I wanted to thank you so much for being on Podcasting Your Global Career. And do you have any last words that you'd like to say to any budding entrepreneurs / musician songwriters, especially since that's your wheelhouse?
I would certainly like to just simply say, follow your dream. Don't let anybody discourage you. Don't let anybody steal your dream, and never give up. And if you have something, keep on keeping on. It's always take some action. Don't just think about something. If you're running into a roadblock, take some action to get around it, over it, under it, or through it somehow or other. But keep on moving forward and take some action with your creativity, and keep at it, and eventually you will break through, and don't give up.
Awesome. Sage advice. Dave Combs, it was an honor and a privilege. Thank you for being a part of Podcasting Your Global Career. And I just want to wish all of God's blessings on you, your family, and your career moving forward.
Thank you, James. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, if you guys like what's going on here, please leave a great review in the Apple Podcasts. I've left a simple review process in the show notes, and we'd really appreciate it. And also, don't be shy. Forward this to your best friend, because you know they need it. Hey, if you need some coaching, hit up the link in the show notes. It's calendly.com/Dharmic. And you can take a little chance with me, and I'll get you on your way. That's a wrap for me today. I'm your host, James Kevin O'Connor. So until the next time when we meet again, I'll either see you on the socials or I'll see you from the stage.
Ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. If wishes were windows, I'd open one and find that freedom is really a simple state of mind. So ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. Ride on, baby, you and I can find the key. Ride on, we can unlock each other's destiny. I taste the breeze of freedom, it's tingling on my tongue. You and I out on the road will stay each other's destiny. I'll take you places that you've never seen. I'll take you places that you never dreamed. I'll take you places that were pictures in your mind. I'll take you places beyond the reach of time. So ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me?